Hey, and welcome to Tech Tips with Sold Out Media. I'm Amanda, and today I'm going to be telling you about my experience with the Mini 5 Pro and how it has compared to my experience with the Mini 4 Pro. Now, I got the Mini 5 Pro, I think it must have been at the very end of September, because I ordered it as soon as they announced it, and it shipped out pretty much immediately to me. And I've been playing with it ever since. So I got a little bit of experience really putting it to the test. We had some extremely windy days, and I'll show you that footage too. But let's start with what you're getting first. And for me, one of the biggest selling points, because I do a lot of air photography, is that this is a bigger sensor with 50 megapixels, and this is a smaller sensor with 48 megapixels. Now, this is a 1-inch sensor. The Mini 4 Pro is a 1/1/3 sensor. So you're getting quite a bit bigger sensor. Let's take these covers off. But why they're still on is because I wanted to talk about them for a minute too. Now, I think with the 4, DJI had a real evolution of solutions from previous models, but they did a 2-part solution. So you have this one band that comes around and holds your propellers nice and safe, and then your cover that covers your forward-facing sensors and your camera. Now, with the new one, it's one big device that hooks back. But this thing here drives me bananas, and where it's so boingy, look here, I keep on thinking it's going to grab my propellers and dent them. I don't know, it hasn't happened for me yet, but there's been a couple of times that, like, you see it sort of slides, and that makes me so nervous. I really am not a big fan of that. So I'll just take that off like that. And that's your new cover for the Mini 5. And the 4 was this nice band here that kind of went around the arms and the propeller. This was also kind of fiddly, I'll say, at the best of days. And sometimes I don't even carry that on the drone when I'm in a rush. I just put it in the bag and I leave it there. I do use the front-facing cover. But there you go. These two drones in size are supposed to be in the, what do you call it, micro drone category, where you don't really need a drone license. The under 250 gram category. But, I mean, that's what you assumed with the 5 when it was announced. Oh, it turns on automatically when you open it to this one. But I'll just turn that off. If we do a side-by-side, the drone, the Mini, is under 250 grams. Now, here's a shot of the drones with the batteries and without the batteries. And you can actually see that the 5 is quite a bit heavier than the 4. You can feel it when you pick them up too. Part of that is because you're supposed to be getting a lot more battery life out of the 5. You get 36 minutes of battery life on the 5, or compared to 34 minutes from the 4, or in intelligent flight mode or pro intelligent flight mode. If we're talking about the Mini 5, it's 52 minutes on the Mini 5, where it was only 45 minutes of flight time on the Mini 4. So you are getting a lot more distance in intelligent flight mode, not so much in normal flight mode. 2 minutes I don't think is worth having to do the advanced or the basic pilot exam for a lot of countries. But there you go. You do get a little bit further with it. You do get the bigger sensor, but you're going to have to be aware. Now, when I was flying in Canada, there are some people saying nobody's walking around with a scale to stop you to check the weight of your drone. In Canada, you do have to register your drone. So they might know if they look you up or look at your license or lack of license. But in the EU, as soon as I started flying, so I was flying in Canada with it, I took it here to Sweden, and immediately when I turned it on, this message came up. And you can see it actually tells you right away on the screen that this drone is not according to the EU standards for an under 250 gram drone. So something to consider when you're going forward. And I think in one sense, it really makes the argument for sticking with the Mini 4 for a lot of people. And I'm going to tell you, as far as flying goes, I actually find the Mini 4 is a lot more responsive. The 5, way more power, and maybe it's just something to get used to with the throttle, but like it's so much easier to maneuver the 4, I find, than the 5. It's subtle, and if the 5 is your first drone, you're not going to notice it. But going from the 4 to the 5, I actually found the 4 smoother in terms of handling. Doesn't mean the 5 can't do it. It's just like when I started with the 5, I was like, oh, ooh. Whereas the 4, I'm already very used to the controls. Now, something else about the controls, both of them are compatible, and you can buy both of them with the kit with the RC2. There are different combos for both, but we won't get into that today. But the RC2 is my favorite because I absolutely hate with all of my being, and always did, using my phone on the drone. like the original ones where you had to like attach your phone to the screen. And I guess you can still get that in some cases, but no, this is way better. And brighter too, like you get a really good bright screen when you get the RC2. Before we get into some of the special comparisons that we did, one of the things that you're going to want to know is that this is a 10 meter per second faster, or well, not faster, 10 meters per second ascent speed, where this guy here only has a 5 meter per second ascent speed. And it really does make a difference in terms of your ability to get the drone where you want it to be. And that adds into what I'm saying about like the 5 wasn't as quick to be able to control because it has a lot more throttle to it. It was almost a little bit more like flying the Air S3, for example. And it has a lot of the same features as the new 4 does, the the Mavic 4 Pro. Your max distance with these in kilometers, again, depending on whether or not you're using the smart mode or the intelligent battery mode or the intelligent pro battery mode or not, is going to be 21 kilometers for the 5, 18 kilometers for the 4 in the regular mode, and then in the intelligent mode, 32 kilometers on the 5 versus 25 on the 4. So again, you're getting a lot more distance for that extra battery life. I've never taken any of the drones so far out of line of sight because, again, it's a whole other license class if you're flying. I mean, before they came in with the licensing with the Mavic 2, I think we went like all the way across the lake and back. And that was terrifying because back then the battery life was, I think, 15 minutes. And we were like, will we make it or are we going swimming? But, nowadays I use the drones a lot more for structural photography, for what do you call it, realtors and stuff like that, or for just scenics that we're doing, for bits that we're using in productions that we're doing. Absolutely love both drones, mind you. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, the distance isn't something that we're testing because I'm just not interested in going swimming for a drone. Even though if you get the DJI Care Refresh, you get at least one replacement. So I think that's awesome that they do that, by the way. Getting into some of the fun comparisons that we actually have with these drones. What I did is I took these guys out and I put them to the test with features that we like to use to see really, is the 5 that much better? With the bigger sensor and the slightly more megapixels, I was really expecting some sharper photography or being able to get in close and have some sharper photography. I took a wonderful picture, one of my favorite pictures with the 4 on this winter day when all the tops of the trees over a lake were just like perfectly crystallized. But I was so sad when I zoomed in even just a little bit, it lost a lot of the detail. Like nothing really was in focus. And unfortunately, that's what you get with like wide angle lenses oftentimes. You just want the whole thing to sort of look infinitely in focus. But I like to get up top, like up in a tree and try to get something that nobody else can with the drone. And you can really do that with the 5. And on that note, you get a lot more zoom control. So with the with the toggles on the sides of the remote, you can both change your pitch up and down with the camera, and you can zoom in with the right trigger. Now, zoom in was available on the 4, but not in all camera modes. I think you can't do it in slow motion on the 5. I think I tried, but in every other setting, it seems to work great. So, for example, I think it's the high resolution. I couldn't get this to work. So you lose out a little bit, but check this out. So we get right up close to an apple, and I can zoom right in, or we were in the park the other day testing this out, and I used the zoom to zoom right in on one of the leaves, and it looked gorgeous. The fun thing is, so now if you're in a tricky situation where maybe you can't, parallax or pull up, you can almost have the same effect by just gently changing the angle on the camera and zooming in and out. It's almost like having a camera on a jib instead of having a drone that's flying backwards. So really convenient, and check out the pictures that we got here. The other thing you're going to see is these both have 8-bit color and 10-bit color, and you can use D-Log in both of them. So I shot pretty much everything in 10-bit D-Log. And you can actually see, here we are going up over some beautiful trees. These are some shots from my mom's backyard in Canada. And just the colors are phenomenal. And just check out the grading over top of them. Fantastic. With these apples too, so this, you see the video nice and close to the apples, but then I took a photo of the apples. And here's the photo. And I got as close as the tree as I could without the sensors freaking out. And you can disable the sensors to some degree, but I didn't want to also crash the drone up in an apple tree. What you could see here is as close as I could get with both of them. Took the 50 megapixel picture and the 48 megapixel picture, and then if we zoom in just 2 times, you kind of get an idea of how sharp these are going to be. They're both excellent cameras that you're getting a lot of bit depth in color, and I couldn't be happier. We own the Air S3, but rarely use it compared to the 4 over the years, or over the time that we've had them. And I think the 5 is kind of a nice in-between between the two, especially since we already have the drone license for the bigger drones. It's not going to affect our workflow that much, but if you really don't want to take that drone license test, the 4 is the best way to go. Again, not everywhere is going to ping you on having that, because side by side, Jake and I were joking, like you could almost just like print your own Mini 4 sticker and just put like Mini 4 on the top of it. Maybe you might trick the whatever officer, but we want to be honest here. So we won't do that. But, it could be something that's a problem for you, especially if you like to follow the rules to the T. He is overweight, but look at the difference. It's a marginal difference really between the two. So one of the other great features that you have in both of these drones is slow-mo. Now, with the Mini 5, you are going to get a much better slow-mo than the 4. Much better depends on your own opinion. We have often used 100 frames per second, which is the max in 4K that you're going to get on the 4, and it looks great. But the max on the 5 in 4K is 120 frames per second, and it actually looks awesome. You can really tell that it's just that much sweeter. If you drop down to the 1080, you're going to get 200 frames per second in the Mini 4 and 240 frames per second in the 5. So we put them all here side by side. This is the pinwheel, our kid's pinwheel in the front yard. We actually love to use this as a slow-mo. And then to finish it off, you get this beautiful, beautiful shot. This was one of my favorite shots we shot this week, where we had the Mini 5 just backing up in this beautiful fall scene, and the leaves are just falling. And again, that's 120 frames per second in 4K. Gorgeous footage. You can really do a lot with both of these drones. You do get a little bit of an edge when it comes to the Mini 5 in slow-mo. So something else that's going to impress you about both of these little drones is the stabilization in them. Like I said, some of the days were wildly windy. I did this panorama by a lake in Canada, And I couldn't, I meant to do more testing that day, but it was like, must have been a minus. They weren't doing wind chills on the news yet because it was still quite warm, but like my fingers were freezing. So it must have been like a -1 wind chill. Honestly, it was so blustery. I only basically got this one shot with the 2 drones, and I was like, no, I'll do it another day because I couldn't even talk outside. It was so cold. But check this out. This is just outside here in Sweden, another windy day, and we have both drones simultaneously shooting the same flag in the air. So you can see the flag is blowing in the wind, and you can see the drones in this other shot, and look at them just dance. Like they're going all over the place, but the shot's not moving. And like phenomenal stability for the cameras in the wind, but also a little bit of a clue on how these guys handle the wind gusts. They do correct themselves quite well, but they are still little guys who will get blown around. The day I was out by the lake, I couldn't even put the camera up to shoot them because the wind was so wild. I couldn't focus on the drone and make sure the camera wasn't going to fall over at the same time. But you could see the camera or the drone really flying all over the place in that case. All right, one of my favorite features with the Mini 4 has always been the panorama features. I'm not going to go over every feature in the smart quick shots that are in these cameras because I think everybody else has. I want to show you guys what I use, why I like these drones, and let you see the real world practical uses that I've come across that you can see it. So here we have our vertical panorama. Looks awesome. Another one of my favorites is this global panorama that you can see here. And it literally just blends together the photos inside the file for you. It does a whole circle of shots and puts it together. But one of the newest features when it comes to the panoramas on the 5 is you actually have this ability to custom your front, your start point and your end point. So all you got to do, you can see here on the screen, but you press the C1 button when it tells you to. When you're on your start point, you move the drone to where the end point is, press C1 again, and then just press take, and it takes this lovely photo that you decide yourself how that's going to be. So the best part about it is it stitches it together, but it also gives you the folder with all the raw original files, and then you can stitch it together afterwards yourself if you don't like how the DJI did it for you. But it makes workflow easier if you're on the go and you just want to post something quick, a quick panorama. But if you really want to get in and edit it your way, you can do that too. That's a great feature. Now, there are some other video features on this that I want to go over. You have a more advanced active track with the Mini 5. We're just going to show you right here what that looked like. We're just going to chase Jake. First thing, you're going to try to draw a box around your subject. Once you manage to, you see this little menu pop up. You get Spotlight, POI, or Active Track. I select Active Track here. And then I mess around with the menu for a few minutes here, try to see what they're saying on screen, but mostly you can just press record and it will immediately start following Jacob, or whoever your subject is. All right, so what you can see, once Jake starts walking, I get him to run from side to side, and he's actually showing the drone chasing him. And you can see it sort of adjusts itself as it's going to make sure that it's not hitting any trees. Now he's running, and it takes a slightly higher path, but in the beginning I set that I wanted to stay within 5 meters of him. The other real cool feature that they have, and I could really see me using this, we'll show it right here. Both of these cameras can do a vertical photo, but now you can actually maneuver the camera while it's recording on the Mini 5 to turn for you in the shot. So just like, look here, like it just does it. And then the other great feature is it actually has a smart return to home, that if you had to go around something, it sort of maps out with its LiDAR how you left. So when it does return to home, it's not going to hit those obstacles. It used to be the first time I accidentally didn't think about it. You know, I took off from, I think I was slightly underneath a balcony because it was, you know, I don't know, maybe it was because it was snowing and I was just trying to see better on the screen. But I took the drone off from underneath the deck and went out and then went up. And then when the battery was running out, it was coming back. But did you know, if you don't set your return to home, it will actually send it automatically up to 60 meters or 100 meters up in the air and then land it down from that. And the idea is that in case there's some obstacles along the way, it will go up nice and high, fly over, and then land. Well, the deck was above me, right? So I was like, cancel return to home. I wasn't even thinking about it. I was like, here it comes. It's returning to home. I don't even have to think about it. As a matter of fact, because of that moment in time, I always do manual return to home. If it tells me to return to home, I cancel it and I come home myself. But with the Mini 5, it actually has a smart return to home. The other thing here, we have our noise threshold for these two drones, which is very similar. The Mini 4 came in at 69 decibels and the Mini 5 came in at 70.4 decibels. So fairly similar overall. We actually have an advanced nightscape obstacle avoidance that is on the Mini 5, which makes flying at night a lot safer. I said, let's try it out. Let's put a chair in the driveway, a black chair, and record and see what happens if I fly at it. And of course, it detected it right away. We tried it again on a bush. So you can see as I'm coming up to the shrub, the highlight, the warning comes up right away. But the other neat feature is, you know, if you're going up high in the air, the landing light sort of disappears. And when you come down to a certain height, you get that landing light back. I'll just show you too, like it has really low light capabilities. If you put the camera in, like I struggled because I like it in pro mode, but this is actually one of those times that auto mode works a lot better for you because it fixes it faster. The pro mode, you got to go through a lot of hassle to get it the way you want to for night flying. And if you're flying in the dark, you already have enough things to be thinking about to keep it safe. So I just throw it in auto mode for that. And then you get this wonderful result. And you can actually see on my remote the difference from when I was in pro mode. And then when I flicked it on to auto, the whole scene just lights up before I took off. So much easier, but check out the quality. It's so cool. It's really nice. Again, both of these drones are fantastic and they were fun to fly. Linus and I, we had an epic drone battle. Not really, but we sort of did like a drone dance where we recorded each other with the drones and just played around. But they're so easy to fly. They're so friendly. Again, the Mini 4, if it's your first drone, is probably one of the easiest drones for you to learn to fly on, except for the Neo. The Neo is like a no-brainer drone, but the 4 was so simple to use. We had been using drones for years, but by far, the 4 is one of my favorites, and whenever I take somebody out to teach them how to fly, the 4 is my go-to drone. 5 isn't that much different, honestly. They're very similar in almost every aspect, but that weight might be an issue for you in certain regions. It's up to you to decide if you want to take that risk of flying without a license. I don't recommend flying without a license. It's actually really good to go through the materials anyway, because there's things that you might not think about that are just good knowledge to have, even if you're flying the Mini 4. In fact, we got our license before we had the bigger drone. So after the Mavic 2, we had Minis. And then before we bought the Air S, we were going over the material with the Mini 4 Pro. So I highly recommend that. You fly how you fly in the region that you are. Both drones, very cool to me. I love the new features that are on the 5. Is it worth the upgrade? You know, color-wise, I actually really like it. If it was just based on the quality of the 10-bit, I think for me, the 5 is my favorite. If it was everything else in terms of flight quality, the 4 is still absolutely an amazing bargain, and now selling slightly less than the Mini Pro 5. So those are my opinions. We don't do a lot of drone videos because there are so many people out there who are doing much better drone content than we are, but occasionally I like to tell you about what we're up to, and we use these always in all of our regular productions. So yeah, if you have any comments or questions, leave a comment down below, like and subscribe. And if you want to see us compare this to the Air 3, wait, no, it's the Air 3 that we have. I'm so sorry. There are so many. It's like the Canon drives me crazy, because at one point we had the 70D, the 7D, and the C70 all at once. And every time I asked the guys to hand me one of the cameras, they were like, which one? And I was like, the 7D. No, I meant the 70D. No, I said C70. Anyway, the Air 3, if you want to see a comparison between the Air 3 and the Mini 5 Pro, leave a comment down below and we'll see if we can get that done for you guys. I hope you guys like and subscribe. We love spending time with you, and we'll see you in the next one.